A lot of first-time homebuyers are absolutely baffled at all the different ways that a loan can go wrong. From the time that you get a loan pre-approval to closing, there's a lot of things going on, and we don't want to see you lose out just days away from closing on your new home. Let's take a closer look at 15 things you definitely don't want to do before buying a house. My name is Andrew Finney, and my passion is helping you make sense of real estate. If you need help finding a top agent near you, or if you simply want to drop me a line to say hello, my contact info is below. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel now and like this video. Thank you. Alright, my friend, let's take a closer look at this because I'm sure the last thing in your mind was, hey, you know what? I'm going to take out a mortgage application, get a loan pre-approval, go through the process of finding my new home, only to screw myself at the end of the day. I'm sure that's not what you were thinking, and it can be done pretty easily. So let's set you up for success by teaching you the 15 things not to do before buying a house. The first thing is not to miss any loan payments. You want to stay current on all of your credit cards, all of your auto loans, all your student loan debts, and any other debts that you have. Missing just one of those payments could seriously derail you. You might be thinking, well, they pulled my credit score up front, Andrew, and that was a hard inquiry, and they told me that I had a loan commitment letter. Here's the thing, about 3 to 5 days before you get ready to get the keys in your hand, the actual closing day, they're going to do what's called a soft pull on your credit. Now, this is the lender going back and double checking to make sure that there's been no new lines of credit open and that you're still current on all your loan payments to ensure that you're ready to go with getting your mortgage. This soft credit pull will occur right before you get ready to close, and even though it's not a hard inquiry, it is the lender verifying that everything is on the up and up with your loan repayments. The second thing are debt consolidation woes. It might sound appealing and it might be advantageous to some people to consolidate all their debts into one sum of money that you're paying back over time. And this might be a good idea, but when you're getting a home loan, it can be a terrible idea. So what you want to do is have that conversation with your local loan officer that you're working with to review your situation with them prior to doing a debt consolidation. Work with them well in advance. If you're in the closing process right now, it's probably going to be a no-go. But if you're contacting a trusted real estate advisor and local loan officer 3 months to 12 months in advance of getting ready to buy your home, it could be a brilliant idea to have that conversation up front. If that's your situation, please have that conversation today to make sure that you're going to be well prepared to buy your home moving forward. The third thing is not to job hop. The last thing that you want to do is have a change in your employment during the closing process as you're moving forward to closing on your new home. Doing so could be a massive mistake. Consider the fact that if you're salary right now and then you move to an hourly position, that's really going to change the dynamics on your loan pre-approval. The other thing to consider is even if you're transferring for more money, you want to have that conversation with your loan officer, because one of the things they were looking at was verifying your employment and ensuring that you had a stable income coming in from that employer that you're working for. Now may not be the time that you want to job hop into the next spot. Make sure that you get the keys to your new home before you move forward with this idea. Just to play it safe, if it's your situation and it happens somehow whenever you're in the middle of the closing process, talk to the loan officer to make sure it's going to be a smart move for you before accepting that new job offer. Let's make sure that you have the keys in your hand before you hop on to your new job. The fourth thing is not to make money maneuvers. Now you might be wondering, what are you talking about with maneuvering money, Andrew? And that's a really good question. So what happens if you have like $10,000 in your savings account and you decide that you're going to move $5,000 into a different bank account that you have, $2,000 into somebody else's account, and then with $3,000 the lender's looking at you like, okay, where did the $2,000 go? Where did the $5,000 go? And why did it go there? You're going to have to explain all those things. The best practice here is that whatever money you have in the bank is ensure that you have stability. If the lender sees you maneuvering money around from account to account, it's going to draw a lot of questions and it's going to start raising red flags in the mind's eye of the lender and the underwriter. Make sure that you do yourself a solid here and leave your money right where it is at the time that you got your loan pre-approval all the way through closing. The fifth thing is not to break up with your bank. You don't want to be breaking up with your bank that you've had for umpteen years before you get ready to close on a house. All of these maneuvers and all of these situations are very real situations that we deal with and go through in life, but when you're getting ready to buy a home, these are not the things that you want to be doing at that time in your life. You want to wait until after you have closed on your new home, you have the keys, and you're physically owning the house and inside your house before you do this. The reason this comes up is because sometimes a bank makes a very enticing offer. Transfer all your accounts with us and you'll get 0% APR on any of your debts for the next 2 to 3 years. It seems very enticing, and it may be enticing, but when you're during the closing process, this is the last thing you want to do. Please don't break up with your bank and screw yourself in the process. The sixth thing is to hold off on buying a new car. Now you might be thinking, Andrew, buying a house, the last thing on my mind is buying a new car. Here's the thing, and I've seen this in practice, and I've heard of a lot of other agents around the country experiencing this with home buyers as well, because everything is starting to move in such a really good way for a home buyer. They're like, life is getting so much better. I'm getting ready to close on my new home. My life is getting so much better, and I'm ready to take another great step forward in improving my life with a brand new car. Here's the thing, you do that, and it could throw off your debt to income ratios. It'll throw off your credit score because now you have a new hard inquiry on your credit score during the closing process. And I've said this before in other videos, if you really love that car, plan on living in it because you probably just lost your house. Let's make sure that doesn't happen to you, because I have seen this in practice. Despite all kinds of caution from me, constant communication, and with the local loan officer, a family got so excited they went out and bought a new car, and they were only 2 days away from closing on their new home. Remember that soft credit pool that we talked about? Guess what was discovered? The hard inquiry from the new vehicle, the new debt that was reported on the soft credit pool, and guess what didn't happen? They didn't close on their new home. I'd like to keep you and as many other people away from that situation, so please hold off on buying a new car. It can wait until after you have the keys to your new home. The seventh thing is not to buy any furnishings for your new home on credit. Now this again gets into one of those emotional situations when we're pumped up, we're excited, we're getting ready to close on our new home, and then that oh crap moment hits us. We're like, oh my God, I need a new bed, or I need a new couch, or I need a new television, or any kind of thing that you need in your house, from appliances and anything else, right? It's only natural to want to start planning and preparing for closing day ahead of time so you can have everything delivered the same day you close, or at least wait the very next day. It sounds like a great plan. Here's the catch. It can rub the lender the wrong way, because what's going to happen again is going to throw off your debt to income ratios. If your debt to income ratios were already pretty tight, it could be the make or break in between you buying your new house. So before you buy anything on credit, you want to make sure that you're chatting it over with your local loan officer. Best practice here is to simply not do it until after closing. Again, the whole focus of moving through the closing process and buying your new home is to what? Get the keys to your new house. It can wait and your house will be there. But if you go out and buy an appliance or a piece of furniture beforehand, your house may not be there. I'm just being real with you. I'm just being honest with you because I care about you. So please be prudent with the way that you approach your home buying journey and the closing process by making smart maneuvers and staying away from these 15 things we're talking about right now. The eighth thing is not to deposit large sums of money or cash into your bank account. And now this one might be throwing you a little bit and you'd be like, Andrew, what do you mean? I'm making a deposit into my account, and the larger the better, right? Because it shows I have more money. Yes and no, and maybe not so, because it starts begging the question again, where did you get all this money and why is it hitting your account now? And it's going to start raising red flags, because now the lender's going to have to source all of that money that you came up with. Where did that large deposit come from that wasn't normal for your situation? Why was that deposit being made? Are taxes owed on this situation? Are taxes owed on this money? Is this legitimate money? All these questions begin to raise flags. And you want to talk about a big one is when you start depositing cash into your account, because now they really are going to have a hard time trying to source it. How can you track mattress money? And you might be saying, well, Andrew, I got like $100,000 in my mattress, and I just put it into my account all of a sudden because I wanted to be able to buy the home, and I thought, hey, you know what, I'm going through this anyways, I might as well do it, right? Well, that would seem to make a lot of sense. Here's the thing, there's what's called seasoning requirements with lenders, and generally that is a 60-day period of time from the time of a deposit being made to the time it's been seasoned, right? So it means that the lender needs to see that money is there for stability purposes. Please stay away from making large deposits and also with large cash deposits. Talk to your local loan officer if you have mattress money before you make the deposit, so you don't send off any red flags or smoke screens saying something is wrong, at least in the mind's eye of a mortgage officer or an underwriter. Let's play the smart. The ninth thing you don't want to do is to Pinocchio your loan application. We all know that Pinocchio likes to fib and likes to lie a little bit, to stretch the truth, right? No one's calling you a liar, but let's not play Pinocchio with your loan application. Let's be honest here, because anything that you report is going to be verified and it's going to be sourced. So if you stretch the truth, it's going to cause a little bit of an issue. I'm not saying you're doing that on purpose, but sometimes we get in there and we start putting numbers in and we're like, oh, well, I think this, I think that, and it can really derail the process. Here's the thing, when in doubt, when in question, what should you do? Simply pick up the phone and talk to the loan officer and say, hey, you know, on form number 3, question number 10, I had a question about this. Could you tell me how I'm supposed to answer this? Because I was a little bit confused. This is what I was thinking I should say, but I wasn't sure if that was stretching the truth. I don't want to play Pinocchio with my loan application. I want to make sure that everything works out nice and easy for my loan approval. Let's put Pinocchio's nose back and make sure he turns into a real boy by staying true to himself. The 10th thing to stay away from are hard inquiries into your credit. Now, of course, there's going to be a hard inquiry from the mortgage loan officer that you're working with to check your FICO score and make sure that everything is ready to go for the loan type that you're getting approved for. At the same time, when you're in the closing process or after the time that you received your loan pre-approval letter, you don't want to be looking for new credit. Doing so can cause a lot of harm. Now, you might be thinking, well, Andrew, shouldn't I be able to rate shop the mortgage lender and rate shop to make sure that I'm getting the best mortgage product for me? Absolutely, you should. Just do so with the understanding of how the credit bureaus are going to look at this. If you do some rate shopping within 30 days of an application before committing to a loan officer, they might allow those other inquiries to be discharged at the time that you close on your new house. Now, what did we just say? We just said 30 days before committing to work with a loan officer and going to contract on your new home. Please be smart about this, and when in doubt, what should we do? Chat with the local loan officer to review the situation with you to make sure that you're doing everything on the up and up so nothing gets derailed in your home buying journey. The 11th thing not to do is to blow your money for your buyer closing costs. There are buyer closing costs associated with this. By now, the loan officer should have shared with you how much the loan down payment is going to be for the loan that you're putting down. It could be 3%, it could be 5% or 10% of whatever made sense for your situation and was comfortable to you. Well, there's also buyer closing costs. Buyer closing costs generally range between 2% and 4% of a sales price. And it's best just to factor about 3% on average for your buyer closing costs. So if you're looking at a $300,000 home and we multiply it by 3%, that's $9,000. If you have the money for your down payment and your buyer closing cost in the bank, please don't blow that money. You're going to need it when it comes time to close. I know it can feel a little bit like nerve-wracking. You're like, oh, I don't like people trying to tell me what I can and can't do with my money. I earned this money. I can do what I want with it. You're absolutely right. But if you want to close on your new home, you want to make sure that you're playing the cards the correct way to lead you home. The 12th thing you don't want to do is to max your budget unless you have to. When you're talking about maxing your budget, this is a conversation in real estate practice that I have with people all the time. There's a difference of having a max loan pre-approval amount of $500,000 and being realistically affordable and realistically comfortable with your total principal, interest, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and HOA fees if you have one at maybe a $400,000 sales price. Now, this is where buyers get themselves in trouble. Sometimes they get so emotionally overwhelmed looking at homes and like, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go big or I'm going to go home. Here's the problem with that, and this is what I want to be extremely clear with you about, and I want you to take to heart and think about very, very carefully. When a loan officer issues a loan pre-approval, they based it on what? Your gross income or your net income? It was your gross income. In short, that money that you earn before taxes. What I need you to consider is if you're at your max debt to income ratio of, let's say it was like 50%, right? And you're at a max back end debt to income ratio of 50%, you still got to calculate and forecast that you still going to have to pay taxes to Uncle Sam with that remaining money that you have, that remaining 50%. Let's say that was 20%. That leaves you with 30% for your utilities, for your bills, for your food, for your gas. Now, let's be honest. Can you realistically live on 30% of your gross income maintaining your new home? Please don't overextend yourself, and let's ensure that you're not house broke by thinking through this logically up front so that when the time comes to make an offer on your house, you've already committed to where it's most comfortable for you and you know what's best for you to do, because guess who made that decision? You did. The 13th thing is not to co-sign for anybody. By virtue of co-signing for somebody, what does that mean? That means that if you co-sign for your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, or whomever, right? You co-sign for them. If they don't make good, who does the bank come knocking on? They come knocking on you to repay it. A mortgage loan officer is going to have to take that into account and into consideration that if the other person defaults, you're on the hook for that. So it's highly likely they're going to have to count that debt against you and your debt to income ratios. Please don't co-sign for anybody when you're getting ready to buy a house. Look, if your family member needs help and everything, move through the closing process, buy your home, then have a conversation with the people that you need to have a conversation with to see if it's the right decision for you to step in or not. But what did we say? Wait until after you get your home. We don't want to see you losing your dream, your new home, because of something simple that could have been avoided and delayed 30 to 60 days. The 14th thing is not to overpay for your new home. Now you might be thinking, Andrew, of course I don't want to overpay for my home. I would like to get the home for the best price possible, but why would you even bring it up not to overpay for my home? It all goes into the market conditions at the time that's right for you in your life to buy a home. If you're in a hot seller's market, you might have lost a few offers and you're thinking, you know what, everybody's outbidding me, everyone's outbidding me, I'm gonna have to increase my offer above and beyond the seller's list price so that I can be the one that wins the offer. That may or may not be the case, and it may or may not be the best idea depending on your situation. Very important to know what you're doing, and it's very important to note that just because you overpaid for it and just because that amount might be within your loan pre-approval amount does not mean that that house may appraise for that price. And if it doesn't appraise for that price, what you have realistically done is agreed to pay the seller above and beyond whatever the appraised value is to meet the ultimate sales price. So for example, if you're buying a $500,000 home, the bidding war ensued and went up to $525,000, which is extremely practical, then you're just said if the house appraised at $500,000 that you're agreeing to pay the seller another $25,000. Keep in mind that's out of pocket on top of your down payment and your buyer closing costs. Can you realistically do that? Only you can answer that question of what's best for you. Either way, it's important for you to know and understand what it is that you're doing if you choose to overpay for a house. Now, of course, if it's in a buyer market, then obviously you're probably going to be able to negotiate some better overall terms and a better overall price for you at the time that you buy your house. It's important to know the market conditions by talking with your trusted real estate advisor when the time is right in your life to buy your new home. The 15th thing is don't forget to Google your agent. You want to make sure that you have the right agent representing your best interest in helping you buy your new home. In specific, you simply want to type in their name like Andrew Finney, Las Vegas Realtor, Andrew Finney Reviews. You want to do that with the name of the agent plus reviews or plus the location for Realtor. What you want to look for in specifically is their agent's ratings, their reviews, and their past sales performance. I've made an entire video about how to pick the right agent for you, how to qualify that agent, and to ensure they are the right choice for you. Please take heed and please take note. A good agent's going to help guide you through every step of the process, and it'll never leave you second guessing where you are, and you'll never wonder if something could have been done better because you'll know whenever you're truly comfortable and confident every step of the way moving forward to your new home. Speaking of that, now let's talk about how to determine your ideal home price and 5 things not to compromise buying your first home. Looking forward to our next conversation. We'll see you in a few.